Welcome to T Cloud number 18. This is Dale the Knight. We got a little bit of everything. We're starting off with my Emperor Scorpion Oracle. We haven't seen her in a while. She's been in somewhat of an enclosure that was set up like an ICU, not your typical Scorpion enclosure. I wanted to keep the humidity really high for her. She wasn't doing very well. She hasn't eaten in over 6 months, and this is her first meal in half a year. She actually lost one of her legs. I haven't put another Scorpion in there with her until I figured out what was wrong with her. Whether she, when she got healthy, I would put another one in there. So she's doing a lot better now. I'm gonna wait another couple months to see how she does. Not sure really what was going on with her, but she's eating again. That's a very good sign. Let's get to the feedings, but first a couple photos of my Ethereal Metallica, the Goody Sapphire Ornamental Millennium. It's a beautiful tea inside of an Exoterra Nano enclosure, and absolutely gorgeous. Very beautiful. Here's Scarlet, Acanthoscurria geniculata, the Brazilian giant white knee. We'll start the feedings with a couple of Acanthoscurrias. This one is obviously one of the more well-known and well-recognized Acanthoscurrias and tarantulas in general. Mustones. One of my favorite Acanthoscurrias is Rogue, Acanthoscurria chacawana. I love this species. It's a Brazilian salmon pink. I have another Acanthoscurria, and that's an Inceptilis, starting around almost a juvenile. I haven't shown that one in a while. Hopefully I can get it on camera. It's an excavator, but this one is also another tea that if you don't have one, look out for it. You enjoy it. And let's get into a few of Phonopelmus. This is Baby Gray. Phonopelma calcodes, the Desert Blonde. This one is one of my favorite tarantulas in my collection. Very beautiful little tea. Really not sure if it's a male or female yet. I've swung back and forth whether or not it's a male or female. I'm just going to wait until it gets bigger and get a 100% confirmation on them. They grow slow enough where male or not, you're going to have them for a while. So no rush. I have another one. Here's another juvenile. His name's General. Don't know if this is a male or female. This one most likely is a female. I'm thinking Baby Gray is a male. And my biggest of my Phonopelmas is Venus. And she is absolutely huge. 5 inches. Hangs out in her hide a lot, but she really eats. She loves Mario worms. Smallest of my Phonopelmas is Ink, the Phonopelmus samani, the Costa Rican zebra. Very good feeding response for this one. Won't see this one often. It's an excavator, nowhere near the adult coloration. Very slow growing, most likely a female. And here's Prometheus, Pochettenata ornata, the fringed ornamental. Nursed this one back to health from nearly dying of dehydration. Was in ICU for a few days before being put in this enclosure, and you can see your appetite is back. Full on Pochettenata attack. Been doing very well in this enclosure. Humidity's been keeping. This fringed ornamental loves really high humidity. Not too much. Doesn't really like it wet. Just likes the substrate moist. Likes that humidity. And been doing fine in this enclosure. And here's Eclipse, Brachypelma albopilosum, honduran curly hair. We're going to get into a few brackies. This is one of my favorite tarantulas in my collection. It's one of the more beautiful brackies in my opinion. Carapace is gorgeous. Hairs are gorgeous. Very bulky, big tarantula. And they get to be very nice tarantulas when they mature. Here's Arclight, Brachypelma Smithy, Mexican red knee. This tarantula never ceases to amaze me with her attacks. Most likely this one might be a female. Might be a male. It's a very fast growing little brachy, but that's a hit. One of my favorite brackies species in general is my B. Amelia, Mexican painted red leg Phoenix. Gorgeous coloration on this one. I love those velvety black legs going down into the painted red legs and that gorgeous carapace. Red hairs on the abdomen. Very ferocious appetite, and they're very easy to take care of. If you're a beginner, this is a fine tea to own as a beginner. You have a lot of fun with this one. Like I said, it's a slow growing species, but it actually eats very well And if you can avoid power feeding them, you'll have this tea for a very, very long time. Sweet looking tarantula. Here's fire, Brachypalma vagus, and Mexican red romp. And this one is getting huge. Just put it in a new enclosure to give it some more roaming room. She loves to walk around and roam and claim her territory, web up in there, so she's got a lot of room now. She's loving it. She eats like a dragon. Here's Ocean Storm, Chromatopoulos pubescens, green bottle blue. Still in the mini critter keeper, slow growing. Starting to think it might be a male, not for sure yet. Gonna be getting some more soon in the future, just to make sure I give myself a female in case this one turns out to be a male. Very heavy Weber and very close to having all the adult coloration. Love the webs, and the contrast with the colors with the webs makes this a great overall package of a tarantula. Here's Orion, gramasola pottery, the Chilean rose hair, brown color form. You can see where the carapace hits the abdomen. That piece is still there from the abdomen part of her last molt not coming off. So far as I could cut it down. And she'll be having it for a while because she probably won't be molting for another 1.5 years. Close to 2 years. Here's Brownie, gramasola poker piece, chocolate goldney. One of my first tarantulas in my collection. Holding out just like my young juvie Aphonopelma calicodes. I'm holding on to this one as far as confirming until I really get a good molt. I've had one that I thought she was actually a female. Then I thought on our last one she might be a male. But with the growth rate and the way she looks, I'm starting to think she might be a female again. So I'm just going to wait until she molts again, and we'll figure it out. Same with this guy, Star. It's a chocolate goldney. I go back and forth. He's starting to look like a male to me. But then his molt said, it looked like it was a female. So I'm going to wait until I find out 100% sure that this one is, in fact, a male or female. But he's looking amazing. Here's Queen, my very first tarantula of her own, gramasola rosea, the Chilean rose hair. Bulking her up right now, hoping she would eat, and she didn't disappoint. She can be a picky eater at times. Sometimes she likes her worms, sometimes she likes her crickets. But right now she's on a worm diet, and that's on purpose because I'm bulking her up because one of the males, mature males that I have, G. roseas, this is Pistol right here, got his appetite back here just recently. Pistol spun a sperm web and tore it up a little bit, but he's ready to go to be paired up with Queen again. See if I can get a sack out of this guy. And I have another mature male, Perseus, who I'm going to try to get bulked up as well. But right now, Pistol's ready to go, so he'll be going in with Queen. And see if we can get some babies out of these guys. Let's move on to a Thrixopelma arcati. Her name is Marzaris. It's a Peru flame romp. Trademark flame romp with the green makes this a gorgeous tea. I love the green on this tarantula, and she really likes her enclosure junked up a little bit. I put a lot of moss in there, a lot of leaves, and a lot of bark, and she absolutely loves it. She loves to hide, but she doesn't ever use a hide, so I don't put one in there. She kind of just makes one on her own. Here's Pegasus, Haplopelma albostriatum, the Thailand zebra, mature male. He's a little bit too scrawny now and probably a little bit too old for me to send out to breed, so I'm going to be keeping him for myself to enjoy him in his last few months in my care. I really love this tea. He's one of my first teas I ever owned, so parted with him made it hard, and a lot of the mature males or the mature females that I could have given to, I don't know if he would have ever got a successful sack out of him. He's been mature a little bit too long, I believe. He stopped going down in his burrow. He hangs out up top now, so he's kind of looking for a female, but he's I'm just going to go ahead and keep him and enjoy him while I have him. He's an amazing, amazing little tea. Here's Kamats, Lasiodora periabana, Salmon pink bird eater, and this LP is starting to turn into your prototypical LP. It's getting bulky. Growth rate has been unbelievable. I purposely got this tea at around a 1/2 inch just so I can see it grow. See how large this tarantula actually gets in between molts, and didn't disappoint. It's been fun raising this tea. This thing can eat even as a sling. He went through a little bit of a period, he or she went through a little bit of a period where Um, kind of just was reclusive and just hid for a long period of time. Didn't eat, even as a sling. But I was starting to get that appetite back and starting to turn to an LP. Here's Genesis, Salmon Camerjai, Trinidad Chevron. One of my favorite tarantulas in my collection. First Salmon I ever owned. This enclosure she's in is starting to get towards this end of its existence as far as me being able to stand it. She loves it in there, that's why I keep it like this. I kind of go in and just do maintenance. She kind of keeps it clean by excavating out and webbing up, but it looks very natural, but it's starting to get a little bit too old, so I kept her in there as long as I could because I know she loved it. It's going to be getting a little bit of an overhaul and a change. I'm going to probably put her in something a little bigger. But she's been doing great and absolutely loving that enclosure, but going to have to change it up on her. She's starting to get huge. She's around 6 inches. She's the longest tarantula in my collection right now. Here's Raven, Forbitibus cancerites, Haitian brown bird eater, and my goodness, this tarantula has turned into an evil monster from a place in hell that I have never seen any animal come from. This tarantula has turned so mean. She used to be very calm, and there's been previous tarantula clouds where I've even showed you how calm she can be. But that's gone now. It's just completely gone. She is pissed off literally all the time. That's why the skull stays in there. I was going to take it out, but she deserves it. That skull kind of, that's what you'll look like if she could get a hold of you. You would have no meat on your bones. She was throwing threat potions here. You can see her water dish was taken out. And it's back in right here. But what happened in between that water dish being taken out and put it back in was insane. She nearly ripped that worm apart by spreading her fangs so wide to try to get at me. She was attacking the tongs, and she was charging almost completely out of the enclosure. She would not let go of that Mario worm, though. She's amazing. That's why I got this tea. To me, that's the fun of having it. As long as you're careful, you'll be okay. Do not recommend it to beginners. Here's Pandora, Paraphasiolatus species unknown. And this tea is starting to look like a dwarf species through and through. I believe it has about another few molts in it. Slowing down molting, obviously, if I believe that, because she actually probably has more of the euathlus in her than anything, and most likely has another inch to go. If she got to 4 inches, I'd be surprised. She's around 3 inches right now, and curious to see how big she'll get, but I think she's starting to wind down here, just based on body structure and kind of her molting schedule. She's really slowed down with molts for her size. She should have molted again. So most likely she's a dwarf, and I wanted one anyway, a dwarf species. So I kind of, I like the fact she's a little lady, and her coloration on her is just amazing. Here's another one of my favorite tarantulas, and this is Willow, my Paphiobedius fortis, a giant Colombian brown, heavy hitter. This tea can rip through anything. It's a big, giant, nice, fat tarantula. It's a good substitute to have if you can't get yourself a tea sturmy or anything of that nature. It kind of reminds me of one. It's a poor man's version of it, but it's absolutely gorgeous. I love the pink coloration on that carapace, and sometimes the abdomen can get a nice sheen of aqua blue to it. Right now she's dulling out after a molt. Alright, we're going to rehouse the Avicularia, versicolor, Callisto, and in the background there we're going to also rehouse the P. Armenia. See if I can get this on camera. And I'm going to start with the Avicularia versicolor. And there she is. So we're going to see if we can get Callisto in here. I believe Callisto is a female, but we'll see if we can get her in here without a problem. And here we go. I always try to get him in a cup first. He or she is not as bad as I thought. It's actually cooperating just a little bit. Alright. And there's Callisto. a very sweet little tarantula. I got this one as I think a ½ inch or maybe a 3/4 inch, close to an inch, and it's growing very well, doing very well. So let's get her in a new enclosure. Down here, this one was very flighty as a sling, and started to turn to a little small subadult. Went in no problem at all. Very good girl. Beautiful little tarantula. Alright, let's go to the P. Armenia. This is Shadow. This one is probably not going to be as smooth as a transition as the other one, as the versicolor. This one was the one that escaped on me the first night I got her. I opened up the package and she ran out in literally 2 seconds, and got lost in my bedroom, got in my bed, was under my covers, and tore my room apart looking for her. She was an inch when I got her, and very difficult to see. And finally I gave up and was putting another tarantula in the enclosure, and I looked down between my feet and there was Shadow standing right in between my feet. Got her in the enclosure and she's been fine ever since. So this might be a little more difficult. I want to see if you guys can see this one. She's going to be going to a small critter keeper, and she is in fact a she, I believe. Alright, so let's try to get her inside of her new small critter keeper here, if we can. And she is very fast, obviously, and she's back in her barrel. She is, as most Armenians are, very reclusive and does not like to be messed with, and she can be, and they are extremely fast. Alright, she's out, and that's what I want. Okay. Alright guys, I got her up against the wall right now. Sorry about the view. And there she is. She ran out of the bathtub and up the wall, but I managed to catch her. Alright, take a better look at her. There she is. And you can see by my hand in there how big she's getting. She's around maybe 3.5, probably close to 4 inches now. 3 3/4 inch. Definitely a female, I believe. Might get shocked by that in the future, but she's absolutely gorgeous and a great tarantula. She's very, she's not aggressive at all. Extremely fast, one of the fastest ones in my collection. So let's get this one inside of the enclosure. I'm going to switch these over. And the funny thing about it is that this is my old Salmon camera enclosure. Genesis. And we're going to see if we can get this one in here without running back out. I always like the method of putting it. One of the reasons why I like these critter keepers is because you can kind of get this thing in here pretty tight, so when they run out, they actually run out into the enclosure instead of running out onto your hand. But this one is so fast. She's in there. Got her in no problem. And that's how you transfer a Salmon Armenia. And she's going to do fine in here. So that was a little look at how I do my rehouses. I've had people asking me to share that, so I thought I'd share that. I won't do it often, but I hope you enjoyed that, a little bit of a glimpse of how I do my rehouses. Want to thank you guys for watching. Take care. Have a good one.